Morning, everybody. It's March 11th, 2025. Call the meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. An agenda has been provided before the meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Chairman, I have a one change on item number 2 of the consent agenda. The date of 3/7/25 for auditors warrant 10 of 25. So scratch the 3/7 and change that to 10. And with that, that's the only adjustment I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, is that one correction? I will move the agenda.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Mouse. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Look for approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of 2/18/25, special meeting of 3/3/25, auditor warrants of 2/21/25, 2/28/25, 3/10/25, commissioners warrants, hospital warrants of $645,110.81, and hospital offline warrants of $1,136,299.59.
Chair, move for approval.
Thank you, Luke.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First order of business, Nick Bergman, County Engineer. Morning, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
First up for me today. The project updates, and the first update I have. Second page, the 2025 box culvert contract number 1. Later, the look here, and then ask for the letting date. Update would be our gravel. All right, next item for me would be some, nothing really out of the ordinary here. You'll see that one kind of in the middle of the pattern, over $2,000.
Motion to approve the right-of-way payments as stated.
Nick Stuck.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Is there any further discussion?
Nick, do you ever have much difficulty working with the landowners? They're pretty amenable to. Yeah.
Say like sometimes.
Yeah.
There's like. Very wide.
It does.
Any further discussion for Nick? Okay. Not all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next up. Nothing changed on that.
Okay. Was it a miscommunication between you and the bidder, or?
Yeah, I can show it to you if you want. It's
No.
kind of weird. Like, more things on the back,
Okay. Yeah.
which is usually at the end.
In the end, then, was that bidder still the low bidder?
Yes, there's
Okay.
a little bit of change. Nothing.
Okay.
That the bill we higher than.
Make a motion to approve the correction on the sign order.
I'll support that.
Motion second, to approve sign order correction. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next up. Requesting approval to our subscription for our design software. You'll see receipts of civil. One piece of AutoCAD light, the difference is. Right, it's not. Been it that way a number of years.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Luke.
Second.
Thanks, Doug. Motion to second approve, purchase from, DLT Solutions LLC, amount of $5,658.04. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Great, next up for me is, purchase of a lawn mower, but I would like to, hold off on that for now.
Fine with me, no?
Next item would be, request to set a bid opening date for. Culverts for. Article 15,
Motion to approve. Next request.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll support it.
Thank you, Dallas. Motion second to set the bid opening on April 22nd at 10:30 a.m. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
just updates, we did a painting around the office and shop. And carried a lot. What I have for now.
Crack ceiling today?
Started yesterday,
Warm enough or not?
I think we're too short.
Favorite job,
That
right?
time of year, yeah. I think that was the favorite one right there.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, so.
Gotta be done.
Yeah, that's about how I. Yeah, bid opening at 10. Hang around, waiting for bids here. That's ahead for now. Questions for me?
Anything for Nick, guys? All right. Thanks, Nick. See you at 10:30. Steve, is there any other business we can move ahead since we don't have anything till 9:30 on?
Only other thing I've got, Mr. Chair, I can give you a little HR update.
Okay.
Gary's last day was on Friday. So just a couple items here. Make it public now. Mr. Kyle Evans of Pipestone has accepted the facilities manager position and will be starting on March 31st. Okay. Applications are still being accepted for, obviously, the HR director position will remain open until filled. As of yesterday, I'd received 11 applications.
Okay.
Applications are being accepted for the senior engineering technician. One application has been received to date. And applications are being received for the deputy treasurer 1 position, and that will also remain open until filled. And so far, as of yesterday, 3 applications have been received. That's all I have for HR updates at this point, Mr. Chair and board members.
Appreciate the update, Steve. Thank you. Any other questions for Steve on HR updates? If not.
Questions yet?
Guys, how do gentlemen feel about in our committee reports since it's been time?
I can start.
You would like to start, Doug? All right.
The month of February. I mentioned this last time, but February 3rd, Extension Search Committee did interviews, interviewed 3 candidates. I've not heard yet. We did select a candidate, but I have not heard yet on anything being accepted there, anything. 6th, Prime West Health, excuse me. 11th, regular board meeting, 18th, regular board meeting, and PCMC regular board meeting. 19th was Southwest Health and Human Services. And on the 20th, PCMC Critical Access Annual Review. I had a short month.
Sure. Luke, did you want to? Sure.
Had personnel on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 18th. Soil and water on the 13th, they're fairly routine. Hospital board on the 18th. On the 19th, Highway 23 Coalition, we're resubmitting congressionally directed spending requests and corridors of commerce. We need to have conversations with MnDOT regarding 25% local match needed for federal funds. Stearns County Commissioner Joe Persky called me yesterday. He had been in DC for NACO and whatnot and spoke to a number of our congressional people. And I think a lot of the 25 projects that have not been funded are going to be resubmitted as 26 hopefuls. But he didn't get a good feeling, you know, because of all the federal cuts and whatnot, whether much will get funded, or it's, you know, hard to say. They're not necessarily a fan of earmarks, and we're gonna do away with it or keep them or whatnot, but keep trying, I guess, to see what happens. On the 20th, I missed the Prime Health because I was at AMC Futures, but just from looking over the material, it seems like they're doing okay yet despite a number of high cases this last year, but they were doing better than year one, so. At AMC Futures, heard from Senator Carla Nelson from the Rochester area and had a presentation on a restorative justice program that is operating in some counties, and they've had pretty good luck with it, really. It's kind of where instead of just being punished by the courts, it's kind of like there'll be a committee of staff members and victims, and the victims get to have a say in what's going to happen. And the recidivism rates through this program have dropped to less than 10%, which is significantly lower than the half or more that typically reoffend. You know, of course, at less cost too, because if you can basically shame them or, you know, have them work out some restitution program or something with the victims, it's cheaper than incarcerating. So, and apparently there's grant money available to, you know, explore that, but you have to have a committee in place before you can apply. And I have a list of who all has to be on those committees, but apparently there's 8 million in grants available to get something like this going. And the closest to us is Yellow Medicine has something going in their county with this. I thought it was kind of interesting. It would be kind of similar to drug court or something like that. Just trying a different method of dealing with offenders. Get a better outcome. On the 24th, we met with staff and commissioners from the 12 counties for regional solid waste, reviewed the options. Of course, we don't have many good choices. Anything we do is gonna cost more, especially when the new rules are expected later this year from PCA regarding demo landfills. There was even talk of reaching out to Iowa and South Dakota facilities to see, you know, if you're able to do something there that would be cheaper. On the 25th, MRC met, a lot of discussion about unfunded mandates. They'd really like to tie that African American Disproportionality Act to the modernization of the SSIS system, because it physically can't happen if that's not fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough the way it is, and are using a DOS system from the 70s that gives you green screens, and new employees don't even want to work on that stuff or what it is, you know. I mean, we remember it, but you know, most new college graduates don't.
But we're,
Yeah.
Luke, have you heard some, with that particular act, that African American Act, that's perhaps been postponed for a year? Have you been hearing the same thing?
I have heard talk of that, but I haven't heard any concrete
Yeah.
gonna happen yet, but probably be a good thing. But yeah, there's a lot of talk of, you know, either postponing or even, you know, permitting reforms or efficiencies with various state agencies, all of which would be a great idea, but I don't know if they're likely to pass current, you know, state of climate, but wait and see. And there was also some talk about DNR requiring permits for like broadband companies crossing judicial ditches, which seemed kind of. I don't know, it just seems like they're getting into all kinds of things that really are not their purview, but nobody says no yet, I guess. And on the 26th at the AMC Legislative Conference, we heard from Governor Walz, who claimed that he was not in favor of shifting costs to counties, but yet we know his budget proposal was all about that. Then we heard next from the House and Senate leaders, both Senate and House leaders from both parties were there. And everyone said the same thing. The governor's budget is not our budget. So we're really distancing themselves and, you know, trying to make it seem like they're gonna try to come up with another alternative. I guess it was somewhat encouraging that the two Senate leaders actually go for walks together and talk. Be a lot of bipartisan talking anymore, so might be helpful. But at the end of the day, you know, I still wonder how much we'll get accomplished, but we'll have to wait and see. And then later that day, we did meet with Senator Weber. I think some of the rock commissioners met with Schumacher. Obviously, they were both scheduled at the same time, so I couldn't go to both at the same time. I went and saw Senator Weber. On the 27th at Environment and Natural Resources, we heard presentations from PCA, Bowser, and DNR. I think last month I mentioned, you know, the 800 employees that PCA had. And this time in their presentation, they had a pie chart of their budget. And budget for PCA is nearly $900 million a year. Yeah, so close to $1 billion. And yeah, I found that to be kind of interesting, just in light of how little they seem to get done, but seems like a lot of money. But also 200 million of it is from federal funds, which might disappear. So be on that. And then the AMC board meeting was later that day, which I attended, and I think you all got an update on email. Of course, on the 3rd, we had our annual road and bridge hearing and our special board meeting on Thursday, the 6th. We had an executive meeting for RCRCA in Area 2, since there wasn't a lot to address other than pay bills and whatnot. And yesterday had one watershed, one plan for the Redwood River. We approved the priority issue section, discussed measurable goals and implementation plan, and we'll be meeting in May to possibly approve those.
I'll just go next in order. Monday the 3rd, I had Supporting Hands Nurse Family Partnership. Rick Anderson from Lyon County is voted chair, Dave Leesner from Chippewa, vice chair. Pipestone County currently has 9 enrolled in the program with no referrals and 13 graduates since the program began. It wasn't really brought up, but considering that entity is 80% funded by federal funds, it'll be interesting to see what we do moving forward with that. On the 11th at the board meeting, as Luke mentioned, for personnel, we met on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 18th, interviewing for facilities manager. For CPT Counties Providing Technology, I met on the 24th as part of the executive committee. And then as far as PCMC, I met on the 20th for the critical access hospital review, and then on the 25th for the board meeting. That's all I had.
Okay. February 3 was Road and Bridge, special board meeting. February 11, regular meeting. 19th, we had Plum Creek Library Board. We were short of a quorum, so we did all the business except vote on it. The director had a satisfactory review. We did have a issue come up with one of the drivers, and we discussed it. Yeah. Administrator took care of it. And we had a meeting the next week to get a quorum to do all our business. And she reported at that meeting that he was no longer employed by Plum Creek. He came to the meeting on the 19th and threatened OSHA violations and so I don't know what else he was all rambling on about, but so we'll see what anything comes out of that. It was not a good thing, and she handled it well. 20th, we had an opioid meeting. The Lincoln and Murray are out now. There's $495,000 been awarded. $656,000 is available. And then gonna make the grant writing process easier, so more people will. We actually have only spent $247,000 yet out of $495 that's been awarded. So it is options out there if the sheriff department wants to make another. Trying to work with the schools, and the schools don't want nothing to do with us. They got no time. There's no time in their schedule, you know, everything was free, but they don't want to do it. So it's all across the area schools. They're scheduled that tight that they don't want to give up one period to one class. But that's the way it goes. And February 25th was a CUP, conditional use permit, and that's gravel pit, which Kyle will address later. And that's my report.
Dallas, still have time? Would you like to go, Dan?
On February 3rd, I had a Zoom meeting with AMC for new board orientation. On the 5th, then we had our childcare core team meeting, still looking at some childcare facilities in the area, trying to keep that going. And also we had a library board meeting that evening. On the 6th, Doug and I had Prime West up at Alex. Nothing really new to report there other than some legislative things going on with our lobbyists and so forth. On the 10th, Luke and I had our plant ops at the hospital. On the 11th, I had my veterans memorial meeting, still progressing on that, still doing fundraising and so forth. Trying to decide at what point do we start installing stones. We don't want to start installing stones to give people the impression that we've met our goal. We want to show progress, but we don't want to have people think that they don't have to contribute anymore because we've got a long ways to go on this project, and it can be done in stages. On the 19th, we had Southwest Health and Human Services, and maybe to piggyback a little bit what Luke is talking to about the governor's proposals. Doug, they talked to us quite a bit about the financial impact that it could have if some of these proposals go through. Interesting, you brought up again the African American Act, which is really strange. It started out, I think, originally as just African American, but obviously it's been expanded to all different minorities. And they're talking about that could cause us at Health and Human Services to have to hire, was it 5 more full-time employees? I think, Doug, remember, right, just to be able to adhere with those new requirements of that. Altogether, some of the figures we've been hearing about that, I apologize for that, guys. Some of the figures we've been hearing about that is
In the report.
that's right, like that. It could impact our levy by as much as 17% for our local levy. And as we all know, and we need the community to know that's going to be a major impact for us. And a lot of people aren't aware of how significant that is. And they won't be until the day comes that they get their tax bill. And then they're going to be mad at us. We need people to be aware of what's going on and contact our representatives and explain to them the impact that this would have on us. On the 20th, then I had a shack coffee learning session. Some of the things they're talking about, of course, relate to this as well too, and some of the other programs that they're working on. On the 24th, then we had our rural Minnesota just an executive meeting, just setting some presentations coming forward. And then also in the evening, I had my SMOC meeting down in Worthington, in the Southwest Minnesota Opportunity Council. And there again, our Head Start program is really jeopardized. And that was one of the things we talked about is what do we do with our staff down there? We've worked so hard, like we here at the county, to develop good people, good employees, and we just cannot stand to see they thought that we're going to lose those people. So it was decided at that meeting that if we do lose our funding, we will use every dollar of our reserves to keep our people whole in hopes that we'll be able to get these programs turned back around. Some of the other things we've done at SMOC, we recently, I think we have mentioned that before, that the Nobles County Library is doing a remodel. So they've temporarily moved the library into our building as well too. That's working out well. Got that roof repaired on our main building down there. Again, roofs are expensive as we all know. Then on the 26th, I had a transportation task force meeting then with Prime West. As you know, there'd been a lot of abuse recently with one particular vendor that was what we talked about before with the transportation to methadone treatment centers. And there was a lot of corruption there, and that has been stopped. In fact, now Prime West has actually got their own coordinators instead of contracting out. They're going to do the coordinating themselves. And like always, of course, there's lawsuits involved with companies trying to bill and claw back money and all those various things that we get into. But that completes my report for the month.
Thank you, Dan. About a minute and a half until 9:30, so just hang tight, I guess, so we can open up the hearing.
If anyone's here that wants handouts of the proposed ordinance, I have them sitting over on the table over here. You're welcome to grab copies of that if you're interested in that. One's a clean copy and one shows the markups in it where we did the changes. And then there's also a fee schedule on it too.
Eve, commissioners, I have 9:30 according to my watch and
Go
computer
ahead.
here. So at this point, I'll look for a motion to open the public hearing for cannabis business ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dallas, second by Doug. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing is now open. At this time, Steve, would you like to take it
Yeah,
over?
I'll start out from here at this point.
Thank you.
Also, I have a podium set up if anyone in the audience cares to come up and speak to the ordinance or have questions or comments. You're welcome to do that as well here as we move through this. This is a review from the last one we did. I have provided a copy of a markup. It has all the different changes on it, and that's one that says update for hearing 3/11/25. And then a clean copy is what I'm requesting the board to approve after the hearing is done. Chairman, do you want me to go through this page by page?
Or maybe just highlight major changes. I think we've already been through this in the last hearing.
Yeah. Biggest change is to make sure that some strikeout language was done on page 1, and the important thing there is that didn't need to be there because on page 2, item E, our public health authority recommended that we have that in there. So item E says Minnesota statutes, chapter 145 on public health authority is language we're using on the authority and jurisdiction of that. So that cleans that up a little bit. So it's pretty much a lot of it. And to thank Southwest Health and Human Services for assisting this. I sent the copy of this over to them. They went through this and adjusted things the way it is. So we're following a lot more of what all of our counties around us are doing. We're not trying to be an outlier or anything. We want to keep it as simple as we can and keep it concise as we can. While doing the same thing is the idea. We don't really want to try to do too much strange things like that. On page 4, and that is that put in item 14, just that had to be the number there, and item 15, attractive to underage persons, that products are attractive to individuals under age 21, and products are prohibited under Minnesota statutes 34206 as be amended. So the can't sell anything to anyone under 21. So that's the ordinance here. They requested that we add, that made sense, mobile places of business. This isn't, shouldn't be considered like a food truck business. Is that we're looking for brick and mortar stores for this. So any form of business that is operated out of a kiosk, truck, van, automobile, other type of vehicle or transportable shelter that is not fixed address or other permanent type of structure licensed for over-the-counter sales. So that is not allowed there. On page 5, there's a stricken item there as far as Pipestone County shall not charge an application fee, and I'll go over that in a little more detail. They call it an initial registration fee, so that was stricken from that. But there are some fees that we can and others that we can't following the state statute. So we don't have our own specific Pipestone County application fee for this. And beyond that, annual compliance checks were added to it on page 7. Put on there at our first time, I think I had through it, there would be just one per year, and we added in there, there'd be a minimum of one. It doesn't say they can't do it more than once if they get some sort of a complaint, so they can go back and do another compliance check if they need to again. So again, and the sheriff shall conduct a minimum of one announced age verification compliance check per calendar year. So it does give them the opportunity if there's a complaint or an issue, they can go back and do more if they want to. So we're not going to say you only can do one. So no. Renewal of registration, there's some language stricken on the bottom of page 7 that says at the same time after OCM reviews the cannabis license, that's stricken out of there. State licensed retail business shall apply to renewal registration on a form established by our county. The request for renewal must be at least 30 days, but no more than 60 days prior to the expiration of the current registration. Also on the next page goes on to issuance is a privilege, not a right. The issuance of registration is a privilege and does not entitle the registration holder to an automatic renewal of the registration. Registrations also need to be renewed at the state level too. And beyond that is that the person who's applying for a license or registration has to have the state license or registration before they can come to the county to get ours. So it goes state, then to a local jurisdiction on that. That made that clear in here as well. On page 9, got little strikeouts in the third paragraph from the top. Applications will be reviewed in the order on a first come, first served basis. So that way we're taking them when they're, and they'll be stamped when they come in by date and time. That type of thing when we get our paperwork working for the, excuse me,
It's not just me.
just me.
It's moving that, it's
Sorry
moving
about
that way.
Who's next? We did add in there, Southwest Health helped with the basis for denial of registration. Application, registration of renewal, registration will be denied if the applicant is under 21. The applicant doesn't have a valid retail license approved by the Office of Cannabis Management. The applicant fails to provide information required on licensing. Applicant is prohibited by state, local ordinance number 4, and the applicant fails pre-application inspection by the county as provided. So those are all items that they put in there as well. They also put in a discussion or point on mistaken registrations. If a registration is mistakenly issued or renewed to any person, will be revoked upon discovery of the ineligibility for registration under this ordinance or state of other law, ordinance, or regulation. Any revocation will comply with the requirements of statute 222, amended from time to time. On page 10, added in there, requirements for cannabis business and county-wide was added to that. Item E, couple of statutes were removed out of there. That was repetitive, so that didn't have to be there. And moving along on page 12, cannabis business as 3.4, it's advertising cannabis business are permitted to erect up to 2 fixed signs on the area of the building or property of the business not to exceed 100 square feet. They added in there, which made sense, temporary portable backlit or freestanding signs are prohibited. So you can't just like put one up, excuse me, one on wheels, that type of thing.
Steve, I do have a question on this portion on the transportation on page 11. It doesn't specify industrial districts. How do cultivators or manufacturers transport their products from an industrial zone district? Not allowed to transport.
I'm not following what you're asking.
I mean, that's on page 10, that you can have a manufacturer or a cultivator in an industrial district, but yet under cannabis transportation, it is not listed. So how do you transport your product if you're cultivating or manufacturing in an industrial district? How do you get it to the retailer? Okay.
I think you're kind of getting a little confused. You're saying that you can't industrial district.
Well, that's the way it appears.
The way that is reading is that for those businesses. Business or transportation would be ag district.
So like the trucking business would be located.
They would reside in those districts, not that they can't work in and out of it.
Okay.
That
I guess so.
Okay. And I don't know, some of those were really unknown what they even would consist of. So we weren't sure, not knowing what they would be, so. I mean, this is the best we can do for now.
Right.
I was just thinking like, what if the manufacturer or cultivator had their own truck?
True, and that's probably like.
Right, right. So then wouldn't you want them to be allowed to do it in that district?
Yeah, there again, I don't know how these.
I don't either. I'm
Look
just
like, so.
thinking.
I don't see that to be an issue.
Yeah, it could be. Someone in the business may be contracting with another company to provide the product to them, and it may be coming from the metro or anywhere to get it to the retailer. And I think kind of getting into possibly if somebody's going to do a grow business or something, possibly in the county and do it that way and cultivate and then transport from there. I don't know if that'll happen or not.
Right.
You know,
I just thought if it did,
I
hey,
don't think we have a problem.
No.
adding industrial.
I was just, I mean, is that something we should do now or?
There again, I wasn't clear, we've never been told this.
We can always address it at a later date when we have a little more clarification.
Or if you feel strongly, I mean, it's something we can.
Okay.
You could just add that. to
I mean,
your
it
mo-
just
You have to add
seemed
in your
just-
motion that you're gonna include that.
Okay.
As an addition.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you're gonna allow people to manufacture and cultivate in an district, you would think you would allow the transportation from that district to wherever. You know, cause I mean, it would make sense, like you say, for companies to have their own trucks versus
I would-
hiring somebody else. I mean, no different than other egg products or whatever.
looking back here too, is that there also you can get a license from the state for a cannabis cultivator. Which obviously we don't have a license for cannabis cultivator, what we're gonna be doing. So that that is cannabis cultivators can grow cannabis plants from seed to maturity, are allowed to harvest, package, label, transport fully grown cannabis plants to manufacturers. They can also package, label, and transport seedlings. So we're not gonna be having, that's not in our ordinance at all to have these that type of a business here.
But you're
It's pretty much
specifying
retail.
where it can be located in the county.
Not,
On page 10,
this license type is available in limited quantities per state law and licenses will be selected through vetted lottery.
I mean, I understand
doesn't
that
mean
the
it's gonna
state's
be
gonna
here.
be the one giving the license, but if they were to give a license and we allow it in these districts, I'm assuming they could choose to locate in one of those areas.
He's still gonna control
Right,
who gets.
yes.
Right. Yeah, and that is not one of the places in our listing here that I have, the cannabis cultivators are not going to be here. I mean, the ones that we can do licenses for are what I have listed.
No,
here.
I understand that we can't do the license, but if the state gives somebody a license, they could locate in these various districts that we're listing. If they had a state license.
I guess that's possible. Not knowing what's going to happen yet.
Right, no, I
Yeah.
understand. But yeah, I was just
Yeah.
thinking out, to myself
sure.
then, well, if somebody does locate in one of these districts, you would think that they would also be allowed to transport if they're allowed to manufacture or cultivate in that same district.
I would think you're right too, that.
Right,
Mhm.
So I would. We should probably just. In the transport
okay,
section. Is additional use.
You want an industrial I zone listed there?
yeah,
Is that what you're thinking,
Which,
Kyle?
well, and there again, I mean, you could rip this apart completely. In the, we're saying that manufacturing is
Mhm.
I think we're fine, yeah.
Leave it alone?
Nope, I think we should add industrial to the cannabis transportation. That way it'll be consistent with the manufacturing and others.
and like you say, maybe it won't, maybe nobody will locate here, but
Yeah.
in case they do, at least they can do everything they're supposed to be able to do.
That's one of the difficulties we have as we draw up this ordinance, these rules, when we know that the rules are ever changing, the state doesn't know what they're doing at this point.
Right,
We have a baseline. Now, my question is going forward with an ordinance of any kind, we can amend that. What's the process to amend any ordinance? We have to give,
public notice, have a hearing.
Yeah.
so as it comes up, if in the future there is a question about one of these issues, we can always address it,
Right.
because they're like some moving parts here.
Agreed. So moving along to page 12, advertising, we talked about that. Required signage, that was an addition there. Health and Human Services added that in there in 3.11, page 13, regarding how to license the product at the establishment, displayed open conspicuous places, have to provide to law enforcement on request. All establishments shall post a statement that operating a motor vehicle under the influence of intoxicating cannabinoids is illegal. Size of the sign is listed there. Conspicuous place. All establishments must post notice prohibiting the entering of store by persons under 21 years of age, which shall be in plain view in general public. On the licensed public and licensed premises, it shall be another 8.5 by 11 sign displayed in open conspicuous place. No home businesses shall be licensed. No movable businesses shall be licensed, only fixed locations. Everything's got to be in the original package that it came with. Nothing can be changed. 315 is age of store clerks, 21 years of age to sell the license. There's an employee training component here too, upon recommendation of OCM or the sheriff. There is also, this says Lyon County there, so we'll change that. Guess you know where this came from. We're all working together.
Right.
So, training, so I think, Health and Human Services are putting this together in there about what we're going to do with it. The products containing hemp. Employee training program shall be designed to prevent violations of it. How that training will be set up yet is yet to be determined. Don't know what that's all going to be up, but that will be there. Protocols have to be maintained under state statute. Video surveillance records, mechanism, secure entries, number of employees working at all times. Bottom of 12, registration was stricken and just an application procedure there. What we're doing here. This is where it kind of got a little bit strange because my trying to cut and paste and make this work really didn't work very well, and Jenna really helped a lot on this too. So applicant for a temporary cannabis event shall fill out an application. So if they need a full name, property owner, address, all the information required by the auditor's office, emergency contact form. And if there's going to be an event, you have to have detailed plans for the event. And at the events, there is except for low potency edibles, on-site consumption is prohibited. That's the only thing listed there. No smoking of cannabis flower, that type of thing can be done.
The Water Tower Festival can't have a cannabis booth. You take it home, I suppose, but not use it there.
Yep. So temporary cannabis events, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and that's across the board. Everything is 10 to 9. No temporary events in residential districts. It must comply with all detailed statutes. Got that all on there. And bottom of 16, on-site consumption of cannabis during a temporary cannabis event, which occurs at a public place of accommodation, is not permitted. And I guess I don't know what kind of a cannabis event that you're going to have, because I'm pretty sure people that go to these things want to
Use it
have
there.
cannabis.
Use it there. Use it there.
So it, well, that maybe there'll be some places that do have it in other areas or whatever, but apparently you might be able to buy it a little bit to take with you, but you can't have an outdoor event and everybody sit around. Last part is on edibles. Strict cannabis is out of there because that's on their own. And this goes on a little bit change on zoning districts where edible business are permitted. A highway business is listed there. Sales within municipal liquor stores only permitted. Age requirements again is 21 years of age or older, and staff must be 21 years to sell edibles as well. Edibles are already being sold. Our liquor store in Pipestone has edibles behind the counter. They have beverages also at the liquor store already. So those are already being taken care of. They would have had to get a license to do that from the state OCF. Taken care of. But other than that, it's just a matter of dates. Page 18, filling that out. And as far as my attachment goes for delegated cannabis registrations, the cities of Hatfield and Trotsky have not sent anything to me back. I've sent it to them. Woodstock, excuse me. Well, Woodstock's got their own. So Woodstock and Pipestone have their own ordinances. So Edgerton, Jasper, Holland, Ruthven, Trotsky, and Island have given their registrations and their zoning over to the county. Yeah, it's
Only
right.
registration.
Yeah, it's registration.
Only after the special meeting.
Thanks for going through that, Steve.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle, for addressing our questions. I guess at this point, is there any public opinion on the proposed ordinance at this time? If you'd like to speak, we have a podium. Ron?
Just to reiterate, the cities of Trotsky and Hatfield have not given registration authority to the county. So at this point, that if something were to want to go to those towns, they would be needing to set up their own cannabis ordinance to do that.
They just haven't said either way, I mean, or
They have not responded to my requests for the letters either way.
but Woodstock and Hatfield have.
Woodstock is doing their own and the city of Pipestone is doing their own.
But Hatfield and Trotsky.
Hatfield and Trotsky. Okay, I
Trotsky
got you. Yep.
have not responded and given us the local registration authority. That's where we're at.
Thank you, Steve.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, while we have the public hearing open, is there any comment from the public? Want to go over the fee schedule?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I'll go over that with you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Schedule is what I have and what the cannabis licensing allows us to do. I checked with multiple counties around us, and in most of these, there is no, the only ones that we can do licenses for are the ones that are listed here. And these are cannabis micro business is listed. There is no initial application fee, as there is none with the state as well. So our initial registration is $0. Renewal registration is $1,000, which is 50% of the cost of the state license, which is $2,000. So we can't go any higher than 50% of what the state allows. So, and I put on there, I've actually taken from the licensing information exactly what these licenses do to make it clear for everyone, including the board, so you see exactly what's for. Okay.
A question under the micro business, it says they can have on-site lounges where customers can use cannabis, but yet in our ordinance, it says they cannot.
That was temporary.
Oh, yeah, that's for a temp.
That was for temporary, that we cannot.
So you can on a regular basis, but not
Go to the
temporarily.
building.
And this is following the state rule here. Cannabis micro businesses can grow, make, sell, buy cannabis, including plant seedlings and lower potency edibles. They can also have on-site lounges where customers can use cannabis.
Okay.
That is on rules
Directly from the state.
directly from the state. We have to follow exactly what they said on their
Okay.
licensing.
So having that 8.5 by 11 sign talking about driving is gonna be just as effective as it is at the bar.
Yep.
So a mezzo business is So also retail county issued. There's initial registration fee of that one of $500 and a renewal registration of $1,000. So the state gets more money out of these. I mean, they're getting mezzo business there. The state fee is $5,000 for the application fee. The initial license is $5,000 and the renewal is $10,000 at the state level. Kind of interesting how it works out for us. So we've got a 500 to 1,000, and then retail sales is the third one down there. This is probably the most common one, where retailers can sell packaged cannabis products to the general public and medical patients. So this goes to medical and general public. They can buy cannabis, including plants. I say I have a typo there. That should be a T in there. And lower potency hemp products from other businesses and sell. Customers, license types available in limited quantities. So again, they have to get the license first from the state, then they would come to us, and our fees would be the initial of 500 and a renewal of 1,000. And the other one on the backside, we have lower potency hemp edibles retailer. And those are what are already going on as well. They can sell their packaged products of lower potency hemp edibles to consumers. License type cannot hold any cannabis business licenses. So, and that would be retail sales, and our initial fee would be $125 and the renewal of $125 as well. And the combination business is the last one. This is the state one as well. This is a most expensive ones. The state's application fee is 10 grand, the initial license fee is 20 grand, and the renewal license fee for that is $70,000. This is, if I understand this one, this is going to be these guys can obviously grow, manufacture, package, and label, sell products, including plants and seedlings to both medical and adult consumers. They can package and sell medical cannabis products to other eligible cannabis businesses. They're allowed to cultivate up to 60,000 square feet of medical cannabis plant canopy for distribution into the medical market. And depending upon the total amount of medical sales, you can have an additional 30,000 square feet of cannabis plant canopy for distribution to the adult market. And the last one is for a cannabis event organizer, registration fee of $375. There's where we're at with that, and I would recommend that the board approve the fee schedule with the ordinance.
Thank you, Steve. Dan?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but just would like to voice for the public record my opposition to this whole thing, but also I want everybody to understand in public that we've got no choice. Our hands are tied here. It seems so counterintuitive to me. One of the other committees I serve on, as you know, is the Pipestone Area Coalition. We work so hard to educate our young people about the dangers of tobacco, alcohol, other drugs, and so forth. And I hate the idea that it seems as though we are condoning this. I know myself personally, I'm not condoning it, and I know you guys, a lot of you guys feel the same way as well too. So like I said, excuse me for getting on a soapbox here, but I felt that I at least wanted to go on public record that I wish somehow that we could not approve this. We've got no choice. So thank you for that opportunity, guys.
Well, it is exactly how it was presented to us, Dan.
Yeah, it
They
is.
just kind of tied our hands to this, and either we have to comply or we're subject to penalty, so.
We've been told for years through AMC, it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yep. Still have the public hearing open. Is there any other comment as far as the proposed ordinance or the fee schedule? Right now would be a good time to step up and voice your opinion. There's no comment at this time. We'll look to close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
to
I'll support that.
Is there any further discussion at this time? Closing the hearing? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing is now closed. At this time, we'll look to adopt the proposed ordinance and fee schedule.
Here, I'll make the motion that we approve this ordinance under duress.
And then that would include the industrial zone as we talked about,
The fee schedule, industrial zone.
and then the cannabis transportation. Yep.
Yep.
As Luke and Kyle had discussed. Support?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion second to approve the ordinance and the fee schedule. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank everyone that's helped on this file. Community Health, Southwest Health and Services. You guys, everybody, it's been a long, arduous task to get to this point and see where it takes us from now as we're going forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I put a lot of time into this.
Still curious if it's gonna take more than a year for the state to issue a license to somebody.
Since I don't know really what the rules are yet.
I mean, if you have to do it every year, can they even get it done in that timely of a manner?
What
Time will tell.
happens if the legislature changed?
Right? Could go away, I
Could
suppose.
all be a. I was gonna say ding for next. No, people wouldn't understand. You understand.
Yes, I do.
It's a Dutch thing.
At 10:01, at 10 o'clock, we have another public hearing scheduled for a new home tax abatement. Amanda, are you ready? Morning.
The public hearing for the application for the missing statement.
So this time I'll look for a motion to go into open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to open the public hearing for new home tax abatement. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing is now open.
But the application that was submitted, in February. I was out.
Everything looks to be in order and always looking forward to new homes being built here.
Yep.
Yep. Trees were taken out a couple months ago and that's it. So
Make a motion to approve resolution 59-11-25, tax abatement.
thank you, Dallas.
And I will second.
Oh, actually, don't we have to close public hearing first, gentlemen?
You are correct. Withdraw my motion.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well, then I'll move to close the public hearing. How's that?
There we
Support
go.
that.
You support that. All right. Is there any further discussion on closing the public hearing at this time?
Yep.
Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries.
Now am I allowed?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve resolution 59-11-25.
Thank you, Dallas.
Thanks.
I will second.
All right, thank you, Dan. I have a motion, second to approve resolution 59-11-25. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Any more on the hopper coming in?
One application that we received a while ago,
Okay.
but they're not planning. I-
That's great.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Kyle Creer.
Welcome back.
I did talk to two people last week on, so as they come in for permits, we kind of move them up to the mayor's office.
Are they within the city or within one of the other, within the county?
Yep.
Very good.
The Cottonwood Rivers Control. The joint powers agreement has been any recommendation, you probably know more than I do about it.
Yep. Basically, because of, it's likely that they will be the fiscal agent for the One Watershed, One Plan. It includes two areas that were not part of the RCRCA watershed to begin with. And then two areas that basically drain directly to the Minnesota River. So all this, language change is basically to incorporate those areas for the Joint Powers Board, you know, to have authority to do projects in those areas.
Looking for a authorizing Lucas, the representative of RCRCA to sign the joint powers agreement.
Yes.
And then so I just water also was part of that. We did a precedent approved it. For the signature.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Thank you, Dan. Motion and second to approve the amendments to the Redwood, Cottonwood, Rivers Control Area Joint Powers Agreement. Any further discussion at this time? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Kyle, I presume they'll send us a clean copy. Get pictures on, right?
Well, I think they'll have them all signed at the same
Oh, at the
time,
meeting?
and then
Okay.
They'll send out a signed.
Oh,
copy.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Very good.
Difficult getting that many signatures.
Right.
Then next up, you had a conditional use permit for,
Yes. Next thing I have is the official use permit, recommendation from the planning commission on the application from AMC excavating to open a gravel pit of about here is the fountain. On February, the recommendations. And then if we need.
I guess just one on reclamation of it. Of course, they have to put it back into agriculture when they're all done years from now. What are the elevations on this? Is there enough height that they're gonna be able to keep it?
It's gonna be difficult, and we did. It's kind of a unique sighting.
Where that creek is at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the water level's gonna be.
There is. We didn't expect. Their intents are to. Plaster it off and put it back on, after the excavation is.
But it does sit higher in elevation than what the surrounding ground
Yes.
does.
And this isn't gonna happen quickly. Process, so
Right.
it's gonna take them. Quite a few years to get. Then at the hearing, it was expected that the kids will likely be taking over.
Sure.
The operation and.
Can hear you.
Nick said. I'm too loud, so.
yeah,
If in the future, because that creek is there, are there provisions in the ordinance where they could actually make a water retention pond of some kind if they wanted to, or isn't that allowed under the ordinance?
It would be.
Yeah,
Yes, so.
so that would be
Require a permit.
Was there anything landed on about the road no going north to the tar? They talked about fixing it or
I documented that in the minutes and. About doing it, but there was nothing that there was no conditions put on.
Yeah.
Requiring that, it was basically just. Widening the road, making it safer.
But the county's not gonna be on the hook for that. That's a township problem.
Got the township problem and,
Yeah.
was required,
They'll work that out.
That it's the local authority, so.
It always surprises me that construction firms like this don't want to improve the road to their plant. Cause it's a benefit to them.
Mhm.
Any other question?
I will make that a motion.
Thanks, Dallas.
Second.
Thanks, Luke. Motion second, approve, the conditional use permit for ANC excavating. Gravel pit, any further discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Our last order of business, time sensitive at 10:30 for gravel crushing bid opening. According to my list, do you have anything else, Steve?
So we got that?
I guess we can recess until 10:30.
You're right. Very good.
You did. I was like, that's all right. It's me on my toes.
Worst case, we don't.
We'll reconvene the meeting. It's 10:30. We'll open the bid opening for the gravel crushing as soon as Nick shows up.
Checking late, coming
Yep.
bad, so. We don't have to have a motion for bid opening, do we?
Nope. Just for a little bit.
For action. Well, Mr. Chairman, as long as everyone's here, we're waiting a minute here. Friday, the 14th, Judge Kayla Johnson will be sworn in as new judge for Rock and Pipestone County, and they're having the investiture ceremony here in the commissioner's room and community room at 2 p.m. on Friday afternoon. If you're interested in like to come and welcome the new judge to the bench,
Yeah.
Friday the 14th, 2 o'clock. Gonna have overflow in the community room too. We'll have the video on it there as well. So if you're around, want to come, please do.
What's the fancy name for that? Judge what?
Investiture ceremony.
Investiture?
That's what,
Learn my new word for today.
big word for getting sworn in.
Better than getting sworn at.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
Ready?
Yep.
Have at her.
All right. Well, this is the bid opening for 2025 gravel crushing. And. Yes. From Integrity. Their bid. Next bid, Rogie Excavating.
Suspenseful.
Yes.
Do some music.
Sometimes you're in different orders than.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that we might say. So.
That included in this price? Okay, that's an additional, okay.
Tim, Tim's truck. 34,000. Next bid. Bid. Alexandria. $200. Thousand.
Mhm.
Yeah, what a spread.
I had. Um. so Bid, so I.
Second.
Yep. Motion second to approve Sweetman Sand and Gravel for low bid contingent upon attorney approval. Any further discussion?
How many yards was the bid?
If I remember right, they were there last year, correct? If I remember right, they were there last year?
Sweetman?
Or was it 2 years ago?
When it-
Um,
Rogie was, when it Rogie?
They're twice in a row.
Okay.
We've had
Okay.
them before.
You've dealt before with them before?
A lot of these guys, yep.
Yeah, they've done a lot.
Our overlays.
I recall in the past that we have occasionally extended, the contract into more yards, more tons. That's never a guarantee on this. They're bidding this amount period.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, we.
Is there much out there now or? Or that's
pretty
crushed?
Decent amount, we try to save enough
Yeah.
to where if there's a big flood in the spring.
Yeah.
Everything back.
Okay.
As we're getting more.
Yeah.
It makes sense to bigger contracts. That's what the-
And we've only got just the one county gravel pit, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Not, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I got a question of curiosity for Nick. Seeing how we've got our own pit and that pit's got enough gravel for many, many years to come.
I think David Holbert.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Something like that before the development.
Good problem to have.
Have we ever penciled out what it would cost us to have our own crusher and have our own people do it? Seems how we own the pit is gonna be there for a long time.
We, I remember talking about a screener, I think I would go, we've had better luck. If we did it ourselves. This is a driving million.
Just for the initial investment, let alone the cost of operation and maintenance.
Maintenance, upkeep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I accept that, but that's one of those curiosities.
And another thing to look at is, we got.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
We'll be happy doing conversion.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Yep. Is there any other business to come before the board?
To adjourn.
Thanks, Dan.
Second.
Thanks, Luke. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
You bet.
Oh, just
Thank you for the
give
great
me a
bid.
second, guys. I want to get this off, so we
Yep.
can have a discussion here. I don't want.
So we have some